Hello, everybody. GWS here, and there's no BS behind this one. Kyle Kulinski is a racist. This video is going to prove it. And so I'll just roll this video, and we're going to go through it, and I'm going to stop it periodically to give my commentary.
Paris Dennard and journalist Charles Kaiser went on CNN to discuss Donald Trump. Now, Kaiser, you're going to see here, he's the white guy. He's a liberal, and he's going to light into Trump. And then Paris is he's a black conservative. But watch what Kaiser says and how.
Okay, now note that this is the common liberal tactic that you see. Paris is a black conservative. Why does race matter here, Kyle? And Kaiser is a white liberal. That's just ridiculous that you're just going to keep pointing out races of people as if they matter. But anyhow, let's play this on.
Brooke Baldwin, the CNN host, reacts.
I want to give him a little advice for the future if he does not want to stimulate the alt-right. First thing, he should never retweet someone with the name White Genocide who lists his address as Jew America. That's what he did in February. He should never ask his supporters again to give the Nazi salute, which he did at a rally in March. That's not a good idea. In July, I think it was a mistake
when
to
did he say that?
In March, he asked his supporters to raise and pledge their support to his candidacy and promised to vote for him.
Okay.
There's plenty of video of that. Find that. And then, of course, in July, he retweeted an image of his opponent with the six-pointed Jewish star on it. I thought that was a mistake. But we have bigger problems here. Also in July, he selected as his vice president the most homophobic man in American public life, a person who believes that gay people actually do not have the right to exist. And then, if you don't want to support the alt-right, don't choose as a White House counselor a man who uses the word nigger, whose wife says that he did not want his daughters to go to a school with too many Jews. And don't choose as an attorney general a man who calls the NAACP an un-American organization, and who we learned in The Guardian today went so far as to prosecute
Charles,
two of the
just
people.
hang on a second. I appreciate you going through all of this, but please don't use the N-word on my show.
I'm sorry. Well, I never use the N-word except when I'm quoting someone who's been appointed by the president to serve in the Oval Office, since this is such a disgusting moment in our history.
I think Senator Sessions is an honorable man. I think that he's doing a great job, and I know that as particular HBCUs, he's been a strong proponent of them. Many of them come from the South, and I know he represents them. And so I believe that he's going to be someone who's going to be confirmed. And we can go back and look at everyone's history. I'm sure the person sitting next to me on this program has said some things that he would regret. But we have to look forward.
I think it's shameful that any African American would support this man to be Attorney General. It
Sir,
is
you
shameful.
don't know why. You know what? I don't question your allegiance to the people that you support. I will tell you why I support Mr. Trump, who's the president-elect, because I think he's going to do good things for this country, and particularly good things for my community.
How do you feel when...
All right, gentlemen, we're done. We're done. I appreciate both your voices. I am still, the more I've sat here and listened to the fact that somebody used the N-word on this show, it is not okay. It is not okay, Charles Kaiser. I respect you. I enjoy having you on as a guest, but not okay.
I'm going to do my best.
Now, first of all, let me just comment on that segment myself for my opinion. Kaiser is clearly racist. And let me explain why. And yes, I know that term's overused. I believe it's overused. But let me explain this form of liberal racism. I've said this in other videos as well. So if you want to go back and look at that, you're welcome to. But this is basically the plantation mentality. I cannot believe somebody who is black supports Trump. What message does that send? You are off of the goddamn Democrat plantation, and you need to get your ass back on there, or you're going to be ostracized. That's the sick part about it. The N-word thing is only a big deal for a specific reason. We'll go into that after we hear Kyle's stupidity on it. But just listen to his tone, the condescending tone of Charles Kaiser toward that Paris guy or whatever. I'm not sure specifically the backgrounds, but just the tone, the condescending talking down to tone of somebody he feels is off of the plantation, going as far as to say Trump is giving Nazi salutes, which is not true. It's, oh, he had his hand pointed, and it's, once you start getting into vague symbolism and you start accusing people of supporting various groups. And another thing, this alt-right thing, people, especially Kyle, the Young Turks, etc., the alt-right is not one thing. It would be like saying the alternative left, the progressive media, is one thing when it's not. I'll say it's a lot more of one thing if you listen. I listen to all these shows. I listen to them a lot more than the conservative ones. But I will say this: the alt-right contains many different opinions, many different personalities of varying significance. And yeah, there are racists on the alt-right. There's also racists on the left wing too. So, the point I'm making is that Kaiser demonstrated that he is a racist. Now let's see what Kyle has to say about Charles Kaiser. And this is where it gets good, and this is where we prove the connection here, and how Kyle himself is a racist.
To not be a dick in this segment, though it might be a little bit difficult. So, understand what went down there. So again, the white guy, his name is Charles Kaiser, and he's as liberal as it gets. He wrote a book about a brave family escaping Nazi Germany or something like that. So, and you heard from his opinions there. He's massively liberal. In fact, he said some things that I thought were even unfair to Trump when Trump said, "Oh, raise your hand and give us a pledge that you're going to vote for us." And he said, oh, he asked them to give the Nazi salute. He didn't ask them to give the Nazi salute. He said, raise your hand and give a pledge. Now, you could say the pledge in and of itself is bad enough, but it's unfair and mischaracterize it to say, oh, he asked for people to give the Nazi salute. So, but he's a big-time liberal, you can tell by the shit he said. And so he goes through a bunch of the stuff there, because Trump disavowed this alt-right movement. To his credit, he did that, because the alt-right, they had a conference, and they were just neo-Nazis. They were literally giving the Nazi salute, and they were saying, Hail Victory, which is Sieg Heil. So Trump denounces them. So this guy goes out there and says, okay, that's good, but, I mean, dude, come on, you made your bed and now you're sleeping in it. You retweeted a white genocide account with fake statistics about black people killing white people. You did that during the campaign.
First of all, that is not a fake statistic. The source is fake. The numbers are only slightly off, though. If you look at the FBI data, going as far back as the recent report, which is 2015. In fact, let's look at that. Let's do some bonus content here. We're gonna look at homicide data, table 6 of 2015. Let's hope. No, this is 14. This is 13. I thought the FBI released their data, but I guess they didn't. Well, we'll look at 2014 because we have a lot of time to burn here. Okay, now here is the race of the offender up here, and here's the race of the victim going vertically down. So let's look at black homicides against whites, 446. White homicides against blacks, 187. So, despite making up 13% of the population, they make up double the interracial murders, homicides. And that's significant. And more importantly, if you look at black on black, which is this number right here, 2205. Almost all black people are killed by other black people. And again, this is despite making up 13% of the population. They make up, I believe this is almost 90%, I think it is 90 or over 90% of their own murders. Because see, the rest of this is nothing, and then you got 2205, and you'd have to have, it's around 90%. So the point I'm making here is that no, that statistic is not wrong. That statistic is reasonably accurate in terms of the problem that it's depicting. The source might be off, but the data is not far from the truth. Let's listen in more.
You selected Mike Pence as your VP, an extreme Christian supremacist. I mean, his track record is abysmal on this stuff. It's insane.
Christian supremacist? That's a new one.
Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions, for Attorney General. Guys, Jeff Sessions went after a white civil rights attorney and called him a traitor to his race. What? White civil rights attorney, traitor to his race. He made a joke about the KKK. He was like, I thought they were good guys until I found out that some of them smoke marijuana. So he's just kind of overtly sympathetic. When you go after a white civil rights attorney for being a traitor to his race, there's no question. I mean, you are deeply, deeply bigoted. So, horrible appointment. He also said good people don't smoke marijuana, but that's a different topic.
Okay. Well, Kyle, alright, let's play this game. He said those comments in the 1980s. Now, let's look at Secular Talk's channel here, why don't we? Let's see who they are affiliated with. Let's see. Kyle, out of context. Kyle. Okay, now what we're looking for here are affiliates, and apparently I'm not going to find them here. Okay, let's look here. Yeah, see? Look who Kyle is affiliated with. The Young Turks. And now let me explain this one. In, I believe it was 1990 or 1991, somewhere thereabouts, you had a man named Cenk Uygur, who I'm sure you all know, most of you know, who denied the Armenian genocide. The Armenian genocide was a genocide of a Christian people in what was then the Ottoman Empire. And the Armenians were exiled from the Armenian Empire on what were called death marches. The Ottoman Empire. On death marches. They were marched in the nude through the mountains, and they were shot and killed, thrown in concentration camps. Everything that is a Nazi's wet dream when it comes to the Holocaust. But Cenk Uygur denied it, and look who is featured on Secular Talk's channel. Somebody who in 1990, this is years after Sessions made his comments, denied the Armenian genocide. And still, to this day, you will not see a single admission by Cenk Uygur that the Armenian genocide did happen. So, here's the thing, Kyle. Practice what you preach. Don't endorse people who hate. Now I gotta find out where I was at, and I should have looked. I gotta wait for this.
GOP.
Good things for my community.
Back to you.
He said some things that I thought were even unfair to Trump. So, but he's a big-time liberal, you can tell by... So Trump denounces them. So this is abysmal on this stuff. It's insane. Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions, for a traitor to his race. He's sympathetic. When you go after a white civil rights attorney for... So, horrible appointment. He also said good people don't smoke marijuana, but that's a different topic. So Trump picks this guy, and his argument is, look, man, if you really want us to think you're not racist, not bigoted, and you really disagree with this alt-right, don't appoint all these shitty people and don't retweet white genocide accounts. and don't appoint Steve Bannon, who has a history of using anti-Semitic headlines and stuff. He's saying don't do all that. Now, in the middle of that conversation, he used the N-word. He used it because in context he was talking about that.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, let's play this back because this is the important part, and this expresses everything that is wrong and the key reason that I'm making this in the first place. And you're just about to see the most fatal error, the fatal admission of Kyle Kulinski of his own double standard. Let's play it.
That conversation, he used the N-word. He used it because in context he was talking about that Steve Bannon uses it. And he's saying, this is why you shouldn't appoint him. He's a fucking loathsome character, and he says shit like this.
So, okay, now do you catch the double standard there? You had somebody who said the N-word. I won't repeat it. But he had someone that said the N-word about somebody who said the N-word. Now, who did Kyle go after? Did Kyle go after Charles Kaiser there? No. He went after Steve Bannon, who did the same thing, maybe made some off-color comment or something, but within a context, it was not racist. And so, Kyle's defending somebody who used a word about somebody else who used a word. Now, if you're going to, and I think it's overblown anyhow. Honestly, the political correct nonsense is ridiculous on this point. Because the moment somebody says the N-word, all context is lost, all argumentation is lost, everybody gets emotional. And yes, I have a problem with that. Because people should be able, there should not be banned words in the English language, either through somebody else or, because once you start banning words, you start making it more difficult to express ideas. And we have to have open ideas. But here's the problem. It's the double standard. It's, we can say this word about somebody else who says this word because they're bigots and we're not. We're fighting the good fight. And he even said this about Obama. Obama was defended relentlessly for using that word as well. This is the racial double standard that needs to go away. And it's the chief reason that makes liberals racist. Because they feel like they own black people. And that's what this is all about. We're part of your community, so we are allowed to use this language. And you better not leave the goddamn plantation. That's the rhetoric here. You won't hear those words directly, but that's what they're saying. Do not leave the plantation. And notice, we're going to play the rest of this, but, well, let's play the rest of it, and then we'll see, because I haven't watched the whole thing. Maybe he'll get to the point that I'm thinking about.
Fucking, the wheels came off the conversation. Brookball was like, excuse me? Did you just use that word on my program? He didn't come on there and start calling people the N-word. He used it to describe and explain Steve Bannon uses it, and he should be nowhere near power. But no, Brooke Baldwin flips it. The black conservative guest flips it. I'm offended that you used that word. Now, at the end there, you see Brooke.
Now, notice again, he's pointing to the black conservative guest. What's he trying to do with that word? And notice the tone that he used that in. He's trying to incriminate the guy for pointing out that he's offended. Again, this is Kyle Kulinski. Get back on the goddamn plantation. And if you're not on the plantation, you're a loser. You deserve nothing. You are beneath me. That is Kyle's language here. It's not his it's his tone. And again, this is where we have the problem. This is where we've always had the problem. Let's listen more.
When she gets like kind of visibly emotional, she's like, "That's not okay. You use that word on my show." This is classic missing the forest through the trees thinking. Because instead of being mad at the black conservative guest,
and there it is again. And notice his finger motions too. Finger motions as if he is pointing to a criminal. Because this is how Kyle thinks. He thinks that this black man is a criminal because he's not getting on the goddamn plantation. How much more clear does it have to be before you fans understand that this is not a tolerant individual? Kyle Kulinski is not better than the Young Turks. Let's move on.
Who is defending Jeff Sessions' appointment to Attorney General when Jeff Sessions said a white civil rights attorney was a traitor to his race. He's sympathetic to the KKK. He says good people don't smoke marijuana. He's an insanely backwards character. Instead of being mad at the black conservative for supporting bigots, she goes, the white liberal used the N-word in context to explain somebody else who says it. Therefore, he's the bad guy, and I'm not going to hold the person accountable who needs to be held accountable. Who are the fucking people who are defending Jeff Sessions? So this is the problem, man. This is PC liberal outrage that misses all substance. You miss the entire substance of the conversation. The guy got a pass for being okay with Jeff Sessions as Attorney General.
Well, what you're missing here, Kyle, is your dumb hypocrisy. Your dumb hypocrisy about PC. Yeah, it's PC until a conservative says it, and then guess what? It's racist. How do we know this? Because you're doing it right now. When a liberal says something, it's, oh, you're being PC. When a conservative says it, it's, oh, he's racist. He's going to go backwards and blah, blah, blah. And he's about to say that, by the way. Let's play this.
The guy who used the N-word to explain somebody else using it in context, not out of any vitriol or hater because he was saying it, that guy's the enemy. So the liberal on the panel, he's the problem. The conservative who wants to back Jeff fucking Sessions, who's going to roll the clock back on civil rights even further, and is going to ignore hate crimes because he's responsible as Attorney General to prosecute hate crimes. That guy's cool. This reminds me of the story we did yesterday. Jake Tapper was off from his show. Sorry, I know I look weird here scratching my chin. Jake Tapper, whose name sounds like a porn star, I know, CNN host, he was off from his show. And there was a banner at the bottom of the screen. So the guest host was talking, and the banner at the bottom of the screen said, alt-right leader questions if Jews are people. Now, people were tweeting at Jake Tapper, saying, this is your show, I hope you're proud. Now, Jake Tapper was like, I agree, that's totally unacceptable, and I'm not okay with that. Well, hold on. So they're mad about the framing of the banner, and the fact that the banner's on CNN, when the banner is just describing what Richard Spencer, the alt-right leader, was saying. Why would you not focus your anger at fucking Richard Spencer for saying it? Why aren't you mad at the alt-right people for expressing that sentiment? No, they have to be mad at the probably liberal person who made the banner that says, alt-right leader questions if Jews are human. Like, they're mad at the banner, and they're mad at Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper's mad at his staff. How dare you accurately say what the alt-right and Richard Spencer were saying? But this is what I'm talking about. The left is eating itself with its PC outrage. Be mad at fucking Richard Spencer for being anti-Semitic, for making grotesque, disgusting arguments. Don't get mad at the liberals who are relaying the message of Richard Spencer, who are saying this is...
Okay, so I think we're out of the context of the thing because Kyle's going off like a babbling idiot right now. So here's the sum of this. You just heard Kyle Kulinski say, quote, black conservative 3 times within about a minute, pointing out the races of the people involved, constantly referencing race. And you know what Kyle never pointed out? Kyle never pointed out when Charles Kaiser, somebody he's obviously a fan of, when Charles Kaiser said that he's ashamed that a black conservative would support Jeff Sessions. Now again, what message does that send? That says he would not have said that to a white person. Would he have? Now think about that. And to think that you can decide black priorities better than they do is the textbook description of how liberals are racist. It's not the we're gonna hold you down, we're gonna spray you with water hoses and send dogs after you and throw tear gas at you. No, it's the condescending, you're too stupid to live on your own, you're too stupid to decide your own priorities and support your own candidates. We are going to decide for you. You are going to get back in your inner cities, you are going to talk about them with pride, and you are going to get back on the goddamn plantation. That is the language that is used. The language, the tone, the thought process, the procedures, that is their policy. Get back on the plantation. And Kyle here links himself directly to that line of liberal thinking, the same liberal thinking, by the way, that led to segregation in the first place. You deserve your own communities. You are going to sit there. You are going to praise your community. You are going to say that you are happy here. As Michelle Obama said just before the election, how when Trump talked about South Chicago, in conditions that really are. You walk down the street, you're liable to get shot. And he was referencing a specific case where a woman, I believe she was with a child, did get shot when she was walking down the street. And Michelle Obama wants to get up on a podium in front of her screaming fans and say how wonderful South Chicago is. Yeah, try fucking living there, bitch. Try living there. And yes, I know I use that word too much, I apologize. But the point I'm making is that this is their way of thinking. And the sooner you guys understand that Kyle Kulinski, the Young Turks, or more broadly speaking, the quote progressives, are any better than each other, you need to wake up. Because you're not living in reality. Thanks for listening. God bless.